Thank all of you for being here. You, Natasha, like your vision, I feel like is amazing. Like you were able to create a space for people to come who are part of the social equity program and provide resources and stuff like that for people is absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. And you gave people like a place where they could go and talk to each other and comfort each other in a time where the social equity program just kind of went down the drain for a lot of people. So
yeah,
thank you for that.
We had to fill that gap. You
know,
it was definitely much needed for our community.
Definitely. So. Then you, Tyrone, your bravery is absolutely amazing. Anywhere you go, you command attention when you walk into a room, whether you are sitting across from politicians or you're out on the streets. People look to you for a lot of things, so thank you for that.
After going through what we've been through with the mass incarceration, as a result of a lot of it, 50 years of black men and boys and women, our community's been incarcerated for cannabis. And then for me, serving 21 years to come out of prison and to see the lack of social equity, to see you all women on the front line fighting, I'd be remiss in my duty if I didn't fight as hard or harder.
Professor Dillon, amazing. Just like a wealth of knowledge. I said earlier, like we spent time on the phone just talking for hours, and I truly, truly appreciate like those conversations, and I understand like why you are an educator and why you are the first to do a lot of things here in Illinois. Amazing. That's just absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, Chaz. I appreciate you making your contribution to my first class.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
That was exciting for me too. That's the first time I ever like talked to a college class. I never thought I'd be talking to them about cannabis out of like all things, but yeah, that was fun. That was a great experience.
It was very eye-opening. Back in 2017, when my best friend, she had a botched surgery, and so she didn't want to get addicted to opioids, so she asked me if I would become her caregiver and help her to get a medical card. So that started the journey, and I did a lot of research, and I was excited about going to the biggest dispensary right down in the hospital corridor. I thought I was going to walk in and say, she has adhesive arachniditis. What do you recommend? I said, okay, let me have, I want some of each one of them. We're out of them all. I said, well, how close can we get? He said, look, I can't spend this amount of time with you. Now, there was nobody else in the store. It was raining like crazy. Nobody else in there. I can't spend this kind of time with you. So that's when I decided it was time for some education. And that's what started me trying to educate the community.
Greg.
What up?
The fact that you've been through everything you've been through, you continue to fight, you still just have like this positive outlook on everything. You always tell me, we're here because we're supposed to be here. Everything is aligning for a reason, and that means a lot to me, so I appreciate you for that.
Hey, you said it best. We are living in our black history. We are black history. I don't take it lightly. I don't think there are coincidences. I think that it's divine. It's serendipitous. The future generations depend on us, as we did our ancestors and the people before us. So I'm excited. As always, that. Thankful Thursday.
I want to know where everyone's passion for cannabis came from, whether it was like the first time you ever tried it, or if you just, where did the passion come from for everybody?
It had to be right around high school, right? Gin and juice was going on. All the house parties was cracking, and people were smoking blunts. Phillies was the business at the time, right? I was an athlete at the same time, so it was like, you can't smoke and hoop, right? You can't smoke and play football, but all my friends was around. So yeah, I would say right around when Gin and Juice came out, that was 92, 93 or something like that. And then quickly, once you smoke it, you realize you can make some money off of it.
I grew up in a very sheltered home, so I didn't get exposed until college. And even at that, it was just a no-no. And then as I grew up to be an adult, my father got diagnosed with brain cancer. So we fought for 4 years. You started thinking about what if there was any alternatives that could help. and just, started doing more research and seeing young kids who are dealing with epilepsy and how they take this plant and what it does. I mean, I'm pretty sure some of us saw that story about that young child who was taking, I forgot how many pills a day he was taking. And once his father fought for him to be able to have access to this plant, it dramatically decreased. And that to me is just like, wow. I mean, we're not even touching upon what the earth has bestowed upon us.
I remember when the movie Reefer Madness came out. I'm dating myself. I don't know if y'all figured it out. I'm the oldest one at the table. I don't know if you figured it out yet.
Reefer Madness.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, and we were sitting there smoking. I can remember the communities that we grew up in, and then like I say, here comes the crack under the guise of being cocaine. I was in the Studio 54 era.
Did you ever go?
No.
Okay.
No, but there was this. Chicago had its equivalents.
Okay.
To Studio 54. The warehouse. I mean, there was. It had its equivalent. Fact, yeah. Coconuts. I mean, you had your equivalents. I was out there. Okay. I was out there, and then it was socially acceptable at a party to have a little this or have a little of that. Okay, but not the crack. That was what just threw everything off.
When I watched $2 billion being made potentially in the state of Illinois, and I don't see 99% of all those stores or businesses, cannabis related, are owned by white men, I look at the plot all over again. We can look at everything outside of ourselves, and I'm gonna say this honestly and openly, that black elected officials allow our communities to be left out of the conversation and off the profit end of cannabis. You can't get it no other way if we control the wards, the downtown, and we have a black mayor. If you don't deal with the 40,000 expungements that's necessary, guys that's in jail across this country for cannabis, and over 500,000 of expungements that should have happened before you ever legalize something.
There you go.
Any of the
We're going to expunge you, and we're going to have a social equity bill with no social equity in it.
There you go.
What is expungement without reparation?
You don't get any job training. You don't get any type of job readiness. You don't get any type of preparation or opportunity or second chance program to come be hired even in the industry to have a real opportunity.
They shouldn't have had that much power to have a +1 in anything in recreational side without linking people like us to be the leaders of this new economic prosperity. And it's still, to me, and I'm gonna say it this last thing and I'm gonna move on, is that it's clear to me that a war has been declared against our communities. And it's economic in nature. And that's the biggest war ever. There's always been economics.
Or do you think it all just kind of...
This says Cann, this one said CBD, little bit of milligram.
He always said, this is the space. Now, black folks, brown folks, we have always had an issue getting along, right? And coming together. If cannabis ain't the thing that brings the world together, is that y'all not finna do this. We not standing for this injustice while my uncles, my grandparents still in prison, died in jail for weed. I mean, that's literally what drew me. I heard him speaking about the violence and about the cannabis space, and I'm like, wait a damn minute. They literally selling dope on the block, right? Legally, right? I missed my daughter being born for a cannabis charge. They call it a QP, right? In '98, I got caught with a QP. Pulled me over, locked me up, gave me 4 years. In Illinois, you do half of that, right? I did 24 months, got out, but I missed my daughter being born for a weed case, right? So I'm listening to the brother speak. I'm like, and then the light bulb went off. And instantly, my whole being is like, I gotta fight this with everything I got. So I think that this is the space where we all can collectively just join the fight unbiased, like you said. It don't matter your opinion. If you smoke it, he don't smoke. It don't matter if you eat it. It don't matter if you need it for medical. It don't matter. We need the education piece, but most importantly, we need the economic piece. So together, we just got to fight for it.
Any Fortune 500 company, if you take $2 billion out of that company, that company is in the red. You take $2 billion off the streets, and you wonder why there's an increase in violence, carjacking, and other issues. Because now that $2 billion that fluctuated, and whether you like it or not, hit these houses, paid these bills, did the things that it did, that it has always done. Anytime they say something is a black market, underground, they not talking about white men. They talking about tapping into an industry that's been underground, that we've been controlling, to create opportunities for themselves to go set up your answer about the states. Every time they talking about expanding in other states, what they saying to black men and boys and brown men and boys is that we on our way to put y'all out of work and in jail. So I always pose a question. If you do it that way, ultimately, the whole cannabis industry gonna fail. Because it's not gonna be long before you don't bring in your allies to teach them to share in the profit, than to become enemies to the people that you violate. Sooner or later, that market, and I hear the chatter, you're not gonna keep locking me up for the very same product.
Just not.
That these people are making billions off of every day. As long as there's injustice and lack of true equity, and I don't even use that term no more because equity means everyone but us,
Right.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And until it shows me that it's something else, I don't believe it until I see it.
The applications went out, and they're like, oh, you can apply, and the process is supposed to be simplified. But there was a catch. And what was that catch?
$3 million.
You had to have, the permit cost $3 million
If I
for
If I had $3
cultivation.
million, I would need to have a cannabis dispensary.
But
But
that's
like the beat.
But my point is, we're starting to see a trend. Okay, we thought like the Northeast was going to kind of learn from what some of the other states have done, and to try to simplify the application process, not be as many hurdles, etc. And once again, you're starting to see these. Is this part of their strategy? You understand what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay, we'll have a simpler application and da da da. But you have to have $3 million. It's just always that catch, and it's just like really.
Or you only have to have 2,500, but you got to go through this lottery.
A lottery that you don't see.
And nobody sees the lottery.
Nobody
It's
sees the
behind
lottery,
closed
but the
doors.
lottery
They
happens.
come out with the list.
Yeah.
So
That magic list.
are y'all telling me, okay, I watched the lottery. I fought for a lot of the guys to be in that process, So we not at the table watching the balls come out. We not
What
there.
balls?
No.
Who is there?
Right.
They just announced
Who
it, I
are the
think.
people? I want to line them up. All the people who was there.
We don't know who was there.
This is what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
We don't know who was there. We just know
We asked.
they came out with a list.
So it's no transparency in this process.
So now you got 15 licenses out of 5. Okay, you ain't bothering nobody. You giving the legacy folks an opportunity to go legit.
Well, it's clear they don't want you out the shadows.
Listen, I gotta tell you, just working in a dispensary though,
Yeah.
me personally, I could deal without doing like a plant touching job.
Yes.
Cause it's too much.
Yes.
So when you talk about like marketing and being creative, having round tables
Right.
and bringing people together, that's my area.
Right.
That's where it's like, okay, I don't want to really do this because when the state comes in and you get inspections, it feels like you're doing something bad. And I don't like that feeling. At the same time, I know this is necessary. I know that people need this. So let me figure out another way that I can do my part.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like just like you have a Starbucks. You know what the menu is at Starbucks,
That's right.
regardless of what state you go to. I think cannabis shops will be set up the same way. But just like you have a Starbucks, you got sip and savor. great lattes. You know, so people need options. You're gonna have corporate. I
Exactly.
think it's gonna be there, and I
Y'all
also
know
think
in
there's a
Oakland-
space for us. You know how to grow as well, right?
I grow, and it's not just hemp, it's also growing my own food for my own family. So that's outside the box as well. Obviously, our team decided to go down the industrial hemp route as an alternative, but really doing our research, and you know, we own property now, and we were fortunate because there's a lot of people out there that are still paying on property as we wait for, you know, the craft grow licensing. So we're just kind of moving ahead and just trying to see and make sure that we're being very strategic in what we do with product. You know, it's exciting because, like I said, we are creative people, and I believe, you know, hey, the sky's the limit. So we're moving forward.
The fact that we can have cannabis dispensaries with crime and violence at an all-time high in Chicago, and none of them are at the table talking about that, tells me they care about nothing but money.
I think we got to start the conversation.
I was going to say, in terms of hope, do some soul searching, because we all have our own passions and unique gifts.
Yeah.
And always have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. And you never know where it'll take you. You might discover, like, hey, you know, you can make furniture out of hemp, or develop a new process with the plan, or just doing some research and just trying to see where you can develop a niche at. What they say, hemp has like 50,000 uses, you know, and we are creative people. And we cannot allow what's happening to constrain us. And I think we have the talent, we have those innate gifts inside us to be creative. And we can find other ways to enter into the industry. And like you said, I have an engineering background, and there's opportunity for pieces of equipment, developing equipment to transform parts of the plant or whatever the case may be, whether it's gonna be in the food industry or consumer goods. There's a huge plethora of opportunity, and I think, you know, we're creative, and I think people have their niches, and I always encourage people to start doing some research and start seeing and start, you know, just start meditating and just trying to see what direction you may want to go in.
The people that come through my program, they've won conditional licenses, okay? But they're also talking about starting test labs, okay? They're putting in the work, okay? You know, they say, well, it's easy to fill out the application, but the process is you have to be an operating lab before you can get a license to be a cannabis or hemp testing lab. So you gotta be doing something else first. And I'm doing everything in my power to help them get their stuff off the ground, okay? I told all my students, I want to be a part of your success story. Okay, I want to be a part of your success story. You know, they come through there, and we have sidebars. We're doing, you know, what about this, what about that? I say, well, I think that's a scam. Okay, I think that's a scam. I think that you'd be best looking into this, looking into that. I can't make no decisions for you. You know, I'm just trying to broaden your perspective. The odds of you getting a dispensary are slim to none, but you have other talents and skills that the cannabis industry needs. Okay, and at some point, you know, they're gonna have to put some black faces into some of these slots in these administrative offices.
Yeah, there will be a lot of firsts because this is new.
Don't be
And
afraid
so
to be
it's-
first.
Exactly, and it's like every time a door closes, it's always been like that for black people.
I think that we often forget that regulations, laws made selling cannabis hard. Cannabis been sold forever.
Easily.
Now all the stuff you are going through is because y'all capitulated and y'all accepted a system.
We not accepting
No,
it.
I said
We
no.
find another way to get around it.
We find other ways to get around it. But people working in the industry, they don't create an opportunity in levels for to bring them guys out of the shadow.
We all out of the shadows right now.
No, we different. I'm not speaking for us.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
If you took the 99 percentile, if I take 10 little homies on the street, out of those 10 homies, I'm gonna find 2 or 3 special brothers. And the other ones would be followers and yes men. And may not really grasp the concept about what it is and how to be a better entrepreneur. But those 3 brothers that we bring out of the shadow can have the ability to reach back and grab the other side. Bottom line, everyone can't own a dispensary. Everyone can't be an MSO.
Right.
Somebody gonna be a worker. Somebody gonna work behind the counter to push the flower or the product. I'm just saying, we are in a time and a moment. That's why you right here. You creating a brand. You teaching them how to create a brand and be all things related to cannabis. So we have a job to do. And the only reason our job stops when we see more equity and inclusion. There's no black current license holder or potential license holder can ever say, because I've had every one of them say, when we get our license, we owe you a percentage. Or we owe you because we know what you do behind that we're not gonna do. We put ourselves on the front and say, hey, without us making that noise and us doing this together, y'all not there to create opportunity so people like you can moderate and because you understand the totality of what it is. Because it's best for you to do it than for me. Because I'm not standing before them and playing with them. Because this is life or death. I'm either gonna die finding social change, or we gonna create it while I'm living.
I think
So
we all
I don't have no
together.
middle.
We're gonna create it together.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
Social equity is
Absolutely.
ownership, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Ownership, that's
So
it.
we create. I'm fighting and building. And as an ex-con who only been home 4 years, I've put over 400 million to work. I guarantee you MSOs can't say that. So I don't have to even fight that fight. I know what I'm able to do by agitation.
Our voices are being heard, right? Our voices matter. This today is a success. We winning right now. Whenever this come out and people are able to hear this, all the perspectives are wins, right? I'm also with ex-cons for community and social change. Our #1 focus is ending the senseless violence and stopping kids from killing one another and innocent women and children from dying. However, social change is as big as an element as any of it.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for having us in your
Thank you for
space.
having
Y'all
me.
don't
Very
we-
much
we
appreciate
got we have to do
Chaz
this.
and Cann. Chaz and Cann.
Thank you.
Black
Chaz.
history in the making.
That's
Black
right.
history.
That's
So,
right.
well.
All right.
All right, Chaz, you got me to drink this stuff for the first time.